Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mad Capper, and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends, and another in our series of I Built Them So You Don't Have To. This is one of our Twitch poll. For those of you who have never been to my Twitch channel, please, first off, check it out. It's twitch.tv/MadCapperYT, and I stream every Friday, every Sunday. We try to throw in the odd Saturday in there as well. I think I'll be doing 6 p.m. Central on Fridays. Sometimes I start a little bit early. On Saturday, I think I'm going to be streaming this Saturday. We're going to see how it goes, but that'll probably be around noon Central, and then around 10 a.m. Central on Sunday for Coffee and Raid. And what happens is when we get a level 5 hype train, I pull a shard, and that shard, the next epic pulled, depending on what type of shard. Usually I have a sacred. I hope we don't do that today because I don't have any sacreds, but we pull the next epic. So long as I haven't already made a video on it, I'll build them and make a video. And this time it was Relic Keeper. So we're gonna get to Relic Keeper. Before we do that, I just want to do some PSAs. First off, please check out my video, the last video. It was so much fun, and it's criminal that it's kind of being undervalued on my channel. It's getting less views than these normally do, but Chagur is an absolute phenomenally fun champion. So I'm gonna leave a link somewhere in the empty space here. Check that out. Also, many of you are not subscribed that watch these videos. I would absolutely love your help to grow the channel to 8,000 subs so that we can have our kickoff party. Description of what happens when we hit 8,000 is in the description area below. There'll be a whole little blurb on that, but check it out. Please subscribe, notify, thumbs up, and without further ado, let's get on and show you Relic Keeper. Surging Strength places a 50% increased attack buff on this champion for 4 turns. Grants an extra turn. Crusade attacks one enemy, grants an extra turn if the target is killed. Ageless Endurance, passive. When hit by an enemy, places a 15% continuous heal buff on this champion for 2 turns. Well, there you go. A little bit different, a little bit fun. Thought I'd take him into the campaign. There's a reason for that. We'll talk about it when we review his kit and his gear. But that's 12-6 Nightmare, which he is actually weak affinity to a lot, but you can see he hits so hard, and he has so many turns and gets so many turns that even when he does weak hit, typically he can hit his way through it. He can take a few hits before he goes down. So let's take a look next at the gear we use to get to this point. Now, the gear is probably the biggest bone of contention. This is pretty good gear. I actually took my gear from Ethos, who was my campaign farmer, as well as any type of wave clear, and we put it on Relic Keeper. So he's got really good savage gear. He's got cruel as well, and his stats come out at 5610 attack, 210 speed, and 242 crit damage. He's also got some pretty decent resist, honestly, just to kind of help him through some of that campaign stuff. And you can see here, I don't need to show you the specific gear. His Masteries, we're going to take a look at it. We take him pretty typical. I could act out of Savage, maybe put him into Flawless Execution because everything he's doing is single hit. Also might be worthwhile to do War Master, but War Master really is dependent on the enemy's HP, so this would be better for boss fights than, of course, just regular waves. Nonetheless, and then down here, I wanted that reduced crit damage. Plus, it's really good. He's healing champions. He keeps going. So let's give him that 10% max HP when they kill an enemy target. And then, honestly, he doesn't throw any of that down. This is irrelevant. He's pretty fragile. He's an attack-based champion. So if he's going to get hit that often, it's probably not going to be worthwhile. And then, of course, we want Retribution, which is always a great skill to have on any attacking champion. So those are his abilities. Now, what do we, when we talk about where is he useful, Relic Keeper is truly a relic of Raid Shadow Legends. He's an OG champion. He was there in beta. He is a fusion champion that you can get. It's actually one of the champions that you do for the missions. It's a relatively easy one. So from that perspective, if you jump on this early enough, I think this is a champion that's going to help you through campaign. The problem is campaign now is such a small, minuscule scope as compared to the whole game. It's something that you just kind of do and then you never do again. At the beginning of the world, this was more important than it is in today's day and age. There's plenty of champions that can solo dungeons, so campaign becomes less and less important, even when it comes to farming. The two things that make him happen is the campaign battle 40% increased attack. So keep in mind, this guy's putting an increased attack for 4 turns on himself for an extra 50%, and that's on a 4-turn cooldown, which gives it essentially 100% uptime, plus he's getting 40% from his own aura when he's in the lead. That is a crap ton of extra attack damage, and then he's just whack-a-mole. He's just attacks one enemy, grants an extra turn. You've got the extra 25% damage when you book him. He also has a passive that's on a 3-turn that whenever hit by an enemy places a 15% continuous heal buff on this champion for 2 turns, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown. So in the campaign, man, this guy is strong. I took him in all different, look at when I was testing it out before, because I thought, boy, he can't do 12-6. That's like, it's too many weak affinity. He's just gonna get eaten up. So I took him through like Tilshire. I took him into other areas, 11, any area that there was good numbers of force affinity, magic affinity, and he was just mowing through them. So that's when I took him to 12-6, and sure enough, he can do it with all these extra aura. The one problem is he's not going to help you where most people want help in campaign today, and that's Nightmare 12-7. You've got a full first line of all spirit affinity. It's too much for him to get through. He weak hits 30% of the time, which in this game is 70% of the time, and he's just going to end up dead on that first wave, let alone the fact that Mortal Macabre himself is spirit affinity. So I did try it with a Sir Nick, thinking I could keep him alive that way. It just wasn't feasible, but it's an unfortunate piece. So that's our Relic Keeper. So where else can we use him? With this gear, nowhere. You wouldn't put this gear on him. It'd be a waste to try to push this much damage onto a champion that's just so situationally. He's a relic. He's an old champion. But let's show you some other things we tried. I'm going to take him into the Force Affinity Potion dungeon, because that's a neat one you can take a look at, and maybe that's something you might want to do if you're bored. So I was able to drive him up to 18 here, solo, and anything more than that, he needs to be able to one-shot. And on 19 and 20, he just can't one-shot everyone. So here it's not a big deal. He's getting 2-to-1 turns. He can take a hit, get that heal proc up on him, and then he's good to go. Also keep in mind he's getting a 10% heal every time he kills a champion, so that's going to help him on these champions that he can't one-shot, like the, what's his name, Mystic Hand, I think. So there, pretty easy. Now again, wouldn't it be nice if he could do 20? The problem here is he is not getting the extra bonus, and that's a big deal for him. He needs to have that extra bonus attack aura, and currently he's not getting it, and because he doesn't get it, he's not quite hitting enough here, which is, I'll talk about at the end, what can we do to make him relevant again. You know, TLDR, make his aura all battles. Or make some kind of funny mechanic in his passive that he gains extra aura. I don't know. We'll talk about it in a minute. But so there you see, he can do force, keep solo 18, 19, and 20, not quite. 19 probably with better gear. I did actually beat 19 once out of 5 tries. Just really testing to see if we could do this. So I think, you know, if you have better gear than mine, it's pretty endgame gear, but there's definitely people that have better. You can do 19, but 20... I don't see an extra 40% damage from gear, and if we do, then I'm playing the wrong game. So that's just a little fun thing you can do. As for, oh well, we got that tournament training. As for anywhere else, like where else can you use them? Not really anywhere, and that's probably the problem here. Sacred Order's not open, so we can't test them there. But, you know, you take him into dungeons and suddenly he's just a single target nuker. Like, what is he gaining you that you can't already do? You can take, you know, stage 25 here. Sure, like, obviously we want an AoE, and I stripped Ethos, so what else do we have that can do really well here? So we have an AoE, we have him as backup. Again, I think the problem is that his whole kit revolves around him killing. If he's not killing, he's just another nuker, a single target nuker, and there are so many of those in the game. Like, what's he adding to this team? His aura's campaign, so he's not adding aura. His passive is for himself only, so he's not doing anything there. His extra turn is only based on kills, so he can only get on a run when he can actually kill champions, and at this level, he's not one-shotting champions. So, yeah, every once in a while he'll get a second turn, but it's not enough. Like, he's hitting really hard, but there's a lot of champions that can hit really hard. You know, and when you look at this, we're on stage 1 and we're a minute. That's not, there's better ways to do this. And certainly when you consider the fact of the gear I'm putting him on, if I give that gear to Alika, if I give that gear to any AoE champion, like Epic, your starter champion in this with that gear would probably be better off, right? Whether it's Kale with his extra poisons and his AoE, whether it's Elhain with her multi-hit on both abilities, doesn't need accuracy. So this particular gear would be great for her with all the attack. There's just no reason to bring him in here. There's just no reason. So he's even getting picked on, even though he's strong affinity, because even the enemy thinks, I got him. I'm not going to take this throughout. You can see that this is just a slow, painful death, and that's the problem with Relic Keeper. Is in dungeons he's useless. In Doom Tower, I mean, there's a point at which he can have fun, and then he becomes useless. And there's so many better champions that have better kits in all those areas to use endgame gear like this on. Would be crazy to use on him just for Potion Dungeon 18, maybe 19, and if you can, you take him into the Nightmare campaign. If you're struggling with Nightmare campaign, he's okay, except he's not going to help you where most people get their final struggle, which is on 12-7 Nightmare. He's useless on that level, so even that, I would argue, you'd be better off taking his gear and putting it on another champion, pairing that champion with a Paragon, and just cheesing your way through the win. So, I guess next, let's go to final thoughts. So, Relic Keeper's a bit of a relic. He was very strong when he was first introduced into the game. He helped a lot of people through early arena and through campaign when they were struggling. His campaign aura at 40% is absolutely OP, and his passive plus his 4-turn attack up is also very strong. Why he struggles as a champion beyond that is because the campaign is like the shortest, smallest, least important part of this game, to be perfectly honest. It's what you initially push through, and then it's kind of done. And outside of campaign, he is not that great. And also, because he's Force Affinity, in campaign, he's not even the strongest champion you're going to need in order to complete the campaign. So that really pushes him aside. Now, this is a free champion, and so how do you improve him? How do you make him relevant without making him OP for a champion that everyone can get at the earliest stages of the game? You could do very subtle things. This Surging Strength could be all champions. It could be a 2-turn all champion, unresistible. That would be very helpful. You could have this down from a 3-turn one book to a 2-turn one booked, or even a 1-turn. So he doesn't get it every time he gets hit, but he gets it every round that he gets hit, which would really help his survivability, so that you could use him in areas that are not traditionally useful for him. Grants an extra turn if this target is killed. You can't really go further than that. And the campaign, at first I thought maybe you make this all battles. The problem is you would just be using him as a fluffer, so to speak, right? You'd just be using him as your lead along with someone else to just eke more damage out of kind of normal Doom Tower bosses. That's kind of, there's a lot of champions that have all area auras or Doom Tower auras that you use just for the aura in some of those easier battles. So again, I guess the answer is You don't. You don't make him better. You could, but he's a free champion that you can fuse almost immediately or relatively quickly, and those who do it can absolutely kind of get some early gains out of him. But in order to make him useful, even in Nightmare Campaign, even in Potion Dungeons, you got to put gear on him that is stronger than he deserves to have. You probably have better champions to put that gear on. So at the end of the day, he is an early game champion at best. He can farm for you. He can do all the things you kind of need out of campaign. And if you just don't have the luck or RNG, or you're still early game, you can keep using him and keep improving him until you get someone better. But ultimately, this guy is going to be replaced in your team no matter what, and you're going to put him in your vault. And probably that's okay. We talk about how to make every champion viable. Well, this champion has his viability. It just so happens it's in the early game. But it also just so happens that's where it's meant to be. So one of the few times that I think maybe you just leave him as it is. You use him until you don't use him, and you move on. Kind of like a starter champion. He's not much harder to get than the starter champion. So consider that your use for him. That's all I have for you today. I wish I could tell you more about RELICKEEPER. He is kind of fun in the early game. You'll probably enjoy it. It's the whack-a-mole. It's that kind of just watching him mow down entire teams in early arena, watching him mow down entire teams in the campaign is fun, but you know, it's a one-trick pony, and that's about as far as you're gonna go. I want to thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please consider subscribing, giving it a thumbs up, and even hitting that notification button so you know whenever I post a new video. And don't forget, I am on Twitch as well every Friday and Sunday. Friday at 6 p.m. Central, Sunday at 10 a.m. Central, and occasionally when I can on Saturday around noon. Most importantly, please be kind, be safe. We'll see you in the next video.